What up, party people in the house? It's Dynasty War Games. I'm your host. My name is Jesse Schneeman. I am right here in front of you right now doing this. And I'm joined by my awesome co-host, my main man, Chad Mendoza. It's been a long time. How you doing, Chad?
I'm doing great, man. It's been too long. Yeah, we
Yeah,
we
too
took a
too
little
long. It's
break
been like
and
two weeks or 3 weeks.
yeah, gosh, it feels longer than that though, hasn't it?
Doesn't it? Right? Yeah. I mean, this is important shit we do here, right? When we
Oh
don't do
yeah, for sure. Yeah, life altering.
All right, so there's one noticeable difference tonight, right off the bat. We're gonna talk to you about a lot of differences that we're gonna do in season, but right off the bat, we got Mike Casper is not joining us this evening. Chad, what happened to Mike?
I think he got lost doing land nav, if I remember correctly. He's somewhere in the woods.
Okay,
He's an officer in the army, so it explains it. But some of you will
so
know what I'm talking about.
so our homie Captain Mike Casper is lost in the woods, some land nav kind of stuff, and we're having a little fun. Anyway, Mike is taking a little step back and is on a bit of a hiatus. Will join us at some point going forward, but for the foreseeable future, it's going to be me and Chad. And right, so Chad and I, what we want to do is tighten things up a little bit. You know, we had a transition from our Patreon podcast, which was entirely different than what we do now. You know, we used to just criticize teams and we used to just lay in judgment. You know, we transitioned to our fun, loose, happy hour style in the off season. You know, while learning and while teaching, that was our goal. But now that we're in season, we feel like we need to tighten things up and make things more concise for y'all, right? And we are a podcast for the people. So we are going to concentrate on player values both through trade and point scoring, right? So what is he worth to your team? What can you get for this player if you decide to trade him? And what can you get a player for if you decide to trade for a player, right? So a big part of this is going to be our listenership and the Dynasty Warzone Patreons and everyone out there listening to us. We want you to send us DMs on GroupMe, and we want you to send us DMs on Twitter or just add us on Twitter, and let us know who you want to hear about. Every week we're going to rattle off players and we're going to nail down their value. You know, I feel like, Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty much, you know, besides having a blast talking about fantasy football, dynasties specifically, I feel like that was what we did best in the offseason was nail down player values. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, probably it's what we did best, but more than anything, it's I think what we enjoyed the most, and that's
Okay.
important, when it comes to putting out, content that not only we enjoy but everybody else enjoys. So, yeah, as long as we're having fun with it, right?
Yeah, as long as we're having fun with it, learning and teaching at the same time, right? Learning and teaching most of the time are the same thing anyway, right?
Yeah, sure thing.
All right, so that's kind of our new format. Like I said, we're going to tighten it up. We're going to keep the timing concise. We're not no more hour and a half, 2 hour sessions. Those are for special occasions only. We're going to have players that we rattle off every week, and we're going to nail down their value as far as, like I said, what they're worth to your team, how they're going to help you win games or not win games, whether they're a lineup trade, and then what they're worth not only in picks but in players and in a mix of players, right? So we're going to start the season and the night off with a long-term game. We're going to call it a 4-week game. We're going to each throw out 3 to 5 players, depending on what we have time for here. And these are going to be the players that Chad and I think will gain the most value, right? And after 4 weeks, we're going to run a check. Whoever's in the lead wins the game, right?
Nice.
All right. So I didn't give any parameters for this. It's just straight up who we think is going to gain the most value according to DTC. We're going to write down their DTC values, and then we're going to check in 4 weeks.
All right, let's do it.
Couple things real quick, though. Did you notice I'm wearing a collared shirt tonight?
Yeah, you're feeling pretty professional tonight, huh? Dressed for the occasion.
Short sleeve, though.
Oh.
Went out to dinner with the wife tonight. Rare Friday evening off, being in the service industry. We went to Nick's Fish House in Baltimore. Let me tell you, that is an amazing place.
Go find yourself a long sleeve shirt, man. You don't live in Florida. You're not retired.
Wait. Tommy Bahama. So, and the hat. All right. So I have a fun story about the hat. A little sad.
Well, explain to everybody what it is, because
all right. So it's Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, right? So I'm a big have been a big fan of Yellowstone, the TV show, in the past, right? And Chad's familiar with it. It deals with Chad's specific type of horses that he raises, and I think he knows, or is in professional circles with some of the people that produce the show, that kind of thing, right? So Chad and I have had long discussions about Yellowstone. So a couple months ago, we had a customer come into the restaurant, and he was wearing this hat right here that I'm wearing right now, Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. And I pointed at it, and I said, and he was a regular customer, I knew him, and I said, it's an awesome hat, love it. And we just started talking about the series, and really nice older guy. Came in a couple weeks later with this hat, in a plastic bag. And he said, "Here you go, young man, this for you." So, thank you so much, so appreciative, and love the hat. At that point, I'd stopped watching the show because it got a little ridiculous. Over the top, right? But kept the hat, and it's a nice hat, actually. And wore it at work a couple times because it's we wear hats at work sometimes in the kitchen and stuff. Anyway, he was wearing it, and he happened to come in one day and saw it and left it. No less than 3 more times over the next couple of months has he brought in the same hat for me. So
what?
This is the one.
Is he forgetting? Is he just bringing you?
Yes, he's forgetting. He brought in this one today, and he goes, "I know I brought you another hat before, but this one's a little snazzier. The writing's in yellow, blah blah blah." And his wife literally punches him in the arm and goes, "It's the same hat." And he goes, No, this is the other one. Blah 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 blah.
Give that man a free meal.
I did. That's the end of the story, actually. Yeah. So they come in and they order. Always order the same thing, and it's with shrimp and salmon, and they do it up. It's because sort of they're like one day out a week. They're really nice older retired couple, and they get something for their daughter and her husband. And so they get to the line, and she goes, "You don't have to wear that hat. I know you already have one just like it." And I said, "I don't mind. I love it." And I put it on, and I said, "This is on me." And I comped their meals. And he walked out, and he goes, "I'm going to bring you another one next week." And I just let me.
What? See, little do you know is he has some supply guy that's just giving him free hats, and he's like, "This idiot. I'm just going to keep bringing him hats, and he's going to be comping my meals."
I love this man. Jerry is his name. Really, really cool guy. But anyway, I have 4 Yellowstone hats now.
All right, let's get to fantasy.
All right, Chad, let me ask you a question. Who is your number 5 player that you think will gain the most value over the next 4 weeks?
My 5th? Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm going to have to come up with one.
I'm sorry, do you want to go 1 to 5, or do you want to go 5 to 1?
I actually brought 4, but I can think of another one. I will think of another one. But my 5th one is my 4th one, but it will become my 5th one, is Marcus Mariota.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. Right now on DTC value, he's sitting at 6.0, which is...
So we're going SFTE premium, 12.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's sitting at a 6.0, which is, I mean, for context, what is that, like maybe 2/3 of a 23 second?
Yeah, it's a 24 second.
Basically, yeah. I think if he can stay on the field for the first 4 weeks with his ability to rush the ball, and I think he's going to be rushing the ball. I think with that offense in the state that it's in, he's gonna accumulate some dynasty points or some fantasy points, and I think his value is going to go up because people are always looking for, quarterbacks. It's just the way the market goes in Superflex. So, yeah, I think, as you're approaching midseason, if he's able to stabilize that position at quarterback, and that is a big if because he does have Desmond Ridder behind him. And I'm not discounting that is a possibility that Desmond Ridder takes over at some point this season.
Not.
But if Mariota gets off, but if he gets off to a good start with that rushing ability, he could put up some pretty big games this season. And you have no choice but to raise his cost from that really low 6.0.
Right on. Yeah, that's a good pick. So I'll give you both a supporting and a contrasting view, right? So the supporting view is to say that the 6.0 is really low, and I was not able to trade this man in a 14-team league. After the rookie draft, I was not able to trade him for a mid-second, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
If he starts a couple weeks and has moderate success as an average NFL quarterback, I feel like I can get a mid-second for him, right?
Yeah.
So that's gaining value. On the flip side of that, the contrasting view is that he is on a team with a trash offensive line,
mm-hmm.
A 32-year-old wide receiver, and a 5th round rookie as his top running backs, and a rookie and a 2nd-year player as his top receiving options.
Yeah, so, but granted, those are really premium prospect players.
Sure, but Drake London's also hurt, missed a lot of camp. Might be tough to count on him for an immediate impact, right?
Yeah,
And now you're projecting Pitts to take a leap for him to be able to help Mariota. Because if it's the Pitts from last year, he's not really helping Mariota. He's just kind of figuring it out still, right?
Yeah. Well, just for context with the whole Pitts thing, right? Is I would assume that he does take that leap because
it's still
the success that he found in his first year is still outlier success. Like for a rookie tight end, he was a monster rookie tight end. Like not there. Top 1, 2, 3% of rookie tight ends come into the league and have that kind of performance.
Right. Well, he was also hyper focused because of how, what I mean, like what he means to the franchise. So they were also forcing that to a degree.
Yeah, but but that goes many different ways though. I'm sure you could say that about a lot of different tight ends.
Absolutely. If he wasn't ready to be out there, you can't force anything to him. Just see Jalen Reagor.
Yeah. So, not to mention they didn't really have many other options on the field. So
they forced it to him and he didn't bust in the process. So, okay, it's reasonable to project that he takes a leap forward, but it's still a projection. So that's just devil's advocate. But I do think that's a really good pick.
Yeah, so I would normally not pick a guy in Mariota's position if it weren't for the elite rushing ability. I think that people forget because he didn't do it very often, but he is an elite rusher. Mariota, yes.
Is he like in the young Tannehill kind of days? Or
no, he's a better runner than Tannehill is.
Yeah,
Mariota is a guy that finds a little bit of space and can get a 70-yard runoff.
Really? So like Daniel Jones type?
Yes, yeah. I think he's faster than Daniel Jones.
Really?
Yes.
Because Daniel Jones is fast as shit.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones at the combine ran like a 4.6, a 4.65 maybe or something like that.
Size. Yeah, he's huge. So that's fast as shit.
And I'm trying to pull up what Mariota ran here, but I'm
closer to Hurts.
I think Hurts might be quite a bit better rusher. I think Hurts is a pretty elite as well, but I think Hurts and Lamar and
Hurts and Lamar are probably the best two in the league.
Right? I guess you have to throw Malik in there now, but
well, no, you don't. because he hasn't played an NFL game. And
well, I just mean I was just out of ability.
There,
I'm talking about ability, right? I'm not talking about production.
Then you got to throw Lance and Fields in there too.
I don't think so. I don't.
Fields at least.
No,
Fields.
I don't think I see, and we're getting to a whole different conversation here, but I don't think Fields or Lance are the rusher that Malik Willis is.
Okay.
Like I don't even think it's close. I think Malik Willis is like a special rushing ability.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be, Lamar Jackson's special elite rusher. Which I mean, obviously we're not talking about Mariota on that level, but
he did show it a little in the preseason.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty special, and I mean, you don't watch college football, so I guess there's that context too. But I mean, he was special in college rushing the ball. I mean, special in college rushing the ball.
Well, I did watch film on him, and yeah, he was elite. But a lot of quarterbacks look elite running the ball.
No, yeah, but there's different kinds of elite. There's like elite, also, like could be playing a premium. I had
a hard time with the guys he was playing against too, because some of those guys would take a step and fall down.
Yeah, but we're not. See, I'm talking about ability, right? Like I'm not talking about if the production was warranted. I'm talking about his ability as a rusher, his athleticism as a rusher.
And I'm not talking about whether it's warranted or not. I'm talking about my ability to judge it when I see it. You follow what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was I forget, there was a commercial where there was an NFL player playing flag football against like kids or something, right? Obviously, he's dominating them, right? So I don't know what I'm seeing sometimes. Yes, I see this man look electric, but I see a lot of players look anyway.
So Mariota ran a 4.48.
Yeah, okay. Right on. And that was what's it, 6 years ago now?
I think it was a little bit longer than that.
7?
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's it was the year after Chip Kelly, so it's like the year Andy Reid went to the Chiefs.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah. So I mean, to put that in perspective, I mean, Desmond Ridder ran like a 4.49. So I mean, pretty comparable, but you know what I think about Desmond Ridder as a rusher. I think very, very underrated rusher.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize Mariota was that elite as a rusher. I knew he had wheels, but okay, cool, right on. All right, so my number 5 is going to be all right, who am I going to pick out of here? I'm going to go Zach Moss. All right, so
okay,
this is I'm going this as my 5th, right? So this is my lowest guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not worth shit right now. He's worth 1.2 as far as DTC is concerned. But as we saw in the first game, we're not going to say last night. Right? I'm going to try my best to say not say last night, because this is going to come out on a Monday. We saw Zach Moss have the second role, right? He's the number 2 back. It's obvious. James Cook may overtake him at some point, but when your first carry is a fumble for a loss, like a lost fumble, and a critical part of the game, that's going to get you in the coach's doghouse. Zach Moss also fumbled in that game, but it was like at a point where it didn't really matter. I don't know if that matters to the coaches.
I don't think that matters at all. Yeah.
I'm not in the room. There's a reason that Zach Moss came out getting the touches, whether there was fumbles or not, and James Cook wasn't, right? There's a reason. And that reason is what they look like in practice and how they act in the coaches' rooms, in the meetings, right? It's all the stuff that we can't see. So if Zach Moss is the number 2 running back in the Buffalo offense for the first 4 games, he's absolutely going to gain value over 1.2. And you might actually be able to, at some point, get a 3rd rounder for Zach Moss. And if that happens, cash it.
Yeah. So
this is not a league winner. This is a little move that might make your team
get you a little bit of value. get you a little bit of value. So
this is an incremental move.
I saw a tweet earlier today that I thought was pretty funny. It said, James Cook joins this list of running backs that have fumbled in their first career game. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Kareem Hunt, Le'Veon Bell, Ray Rice, Steven Jackson, LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander, Edgerrin James, and Jerome Bettis.
Wow. Oh my God, is that real?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more, but he just singled those guys out because it's just to say it's not a big deal.
I remember the Kareem Hunt one, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was his first carry, too.
Yeah.
I specifically remember that Thursday night game with the Chiefs.
I guess that's just a witty
nuts in that game after that.
Yeah. That's just a witty way of saying, it's just stop overreacting. It's the first game.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. It's bound to happen. So on and so forth.
Fumbles aside, though, he didn't have a role.
No, but I mean, you could attribute that to, Devin Singletary playing really well, and then them just sticking Zach Moss in there as a complimentary just because he's experienced, And
right. So that tells me through the first 4 games, Zach Moss may very well hang on to that role while James Cook is learning, or may never actually gain the coach's trust. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, that's a thing that every NFL player has to do, is gain their coach's trust.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a possibility. I don't know that I'm on board with that being a very likely scenario. Personally,
I feel as though Zach Moss will get enough touches through the first 4 games to gain enough value that, he's a 1.2 now. He may be a 4 or 5. You can get a third for him.
Yeah.
I
see what you're saying.
Little incremental gain, little under the radar move that you can make to make your team better. That's all. If you have Zach Moss, or if you don't have Zach Moss, go get him for a 4th or a 5th, or get him for 2 4ths and try to get a 3rd for him later. I mean, it's speculation at a low risk, low reward level, but every little bit, right?
Yeah. I guess I guess you threw out both sides of the argument for Mariota, so I guess I'll do the same thing for Zach Moss a little bit. But
sure.
I think you're spot on with, if he is to gain value, it's going to be in that not counting injury, right? Like, let's leave injury out of it with Devin Singletary, but
everybody can get hurt.
With Devin Singletary taking a full grasp on that role, and them not quite trusting James Cook enough yet, because they've been ranting and raving. They've been raving about James Cook ability as a pass catcher. So I think that is going to come into play at a certain part of the season. And we saw, him get, I think it was him that got that dump off from Josh Allen one play as well when he came in. Who was that? Was that Singletary?
That was Singletary.
Okay, but yeah, I could see him coming in and getting those
Zach Moss. That was Zach Moss, actually.
Okay, I can see him coming in and getting those kind of plays, and getting a foothold in that. But if he doesn't in the first 4 weeks, then I mean, Zach Moss is the trusted option. He knows the playbook. He knows the players he's playing with. He has the experience in the role as that second guy coming into the game and being able to be safe with the football. We say that saying he just fumbled, but he's a known commodity basically.
Yeah, I hope that fumble didn't just kill what I'm trying to tell you here.
Yeah. But
anyway, all right. So we're gonna move on to your next player in a second. But can I just address real quick Mike Kinney in chat, who we shout out to Mike Kinney every week. But at 10:22, 15 minutes into the show, he says, "Good show, boys." Isn't that what he tells us at the end of every show?
Yeah,
does that mean he's out?
maybe he's sending a prediction, or maybe it was that bad early on where he was like, I can't take the rest of this. Gotta cut this off early. But
nice.
Anyways, we appreciate it, Mike.
All right, who's your next guy? I'm not gonna put a number next to him since I seem to fuck you up with that.
I'll just throw a random guy out there. This is in no particular order, but my next guy is Rashad Penny.
Okay.
And this is a guy that I think can not only gain value, but I think he can gain substantial value. quite a bit more than I'm banking on from a guy like Marcus Mariota being able to gain value, because Marcus Mariota, I mean, and Rashad Penny also, they have those guys behind them, right? But Rashad Penny is young enough, and we've seen the elite production from him, even if it is in a small window in the later part of last season. But I mean, his value on DTC right now is a 4.6, a 4.6. And
4.6.
he was the number one running back in fantasy football for, I mean, a chunk of last year. What was it?
The
I wish
last
I
quarter of the season.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah, basically. I mean, it's pretty insane. I think it's going to be a similar kind of deal with Kenneth Walker, where they're going to ease him into the offense. He was dealing with the hernia.
Oh, he's going to miss multiple weeks.
Yeah, he's dealing with the hernia. When he comes back, he's going to be eased into the offense. It's granted, the running back position is a position where guys can kind of step in and take on a role. But if Rashad Penny continues form from last year, I mean, you can't just throw Kenneth Walker out there and say, "Okay, you're our lead back now." Rashad Penny, it's his job to lose. And
Yeah,
like I said, I mean,
as long as he's healthy, they're not going to do that.
yeah, yep.
I mean,
So
I think Seattle is. I mean, they've shown that they'll just go with who the best back is. They don't be like Chris Carson was not drafted.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
what this is huge boomer bust pick for you. Right.
Yeah. So the other thing that I'll add is that the passing game is not going to be very good. The offensive line is not going to be very good. So granted, it's going to be similar to what it was last year when Rashad Penny was doing really well, because Russ wasn't playing well either. So, it's I don't know. I think there's a significant chance that Rashad Penny plays well enough to double, triple, quadruple his value during the course of the season.
If he were to stay healthy all season, I mean, and this is the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
If he were to stay healthy all season, there's no doubt in my mind he would be worth a first plus, multiple first, maybe. He's 26, so he's not that young. But he's young enough that if he puts up an RB1 season, then he's an RB1.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I mean, for his price, we're not worried about the age, right? Like, it's 4.6. So
no, I mean, the age is fine. He's not near any kind of cliff.
yeah, he's got
right?
2 or 3 years as a running back left. Granted, he's never been able to stay healthy, so that's impossible to really predict for him.
He's middle aged as a running back.
Yeah.
But those chances of him staying healthy for an extended period of time, I give less than 5%.
Yeah, I don't.
He's never done it. He's been in the league for a while. I mean,
some guys
but just get hurt. Did you notice that Kittle is not going to play on Sunday? All fucking ready. Some guys just get hurt constantly.
I think Kittle's played quite a bit more than you're giving him credit for.
I'm pissed.
There.
He's not playing Sunday.
Yeah, he's not playing Sunday, but he's
I'm fucking pissed.
I think he's I think he's getting this narrative thrown around where people are saying that he's an injury prone player, and he's not. It's not supported by anything other than narrative.
All right. I mean, he missed 6 games last year.
Yeah, he's played in 85% of his games, which is, I mean, if you statistically about average to slightly above average.
Okay, what's the percentage of games that Penny has played in? I guarantee it's.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about Kittle specifically. Penny, we know he's.
Penny.
We know he's.
I was just venting on Kittle.
No, I get it, man. I have a lot of Kittle too, so it's frustrating. But Rashad Penny, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to throw a percentage on it. I think that if you're buying him at 4.6. That cost is built in there. Like he's worth a third at that. I mean, that's what a third is basically in DTC's calculator. So, which I don't know.
Than a third. I mean, thirds aren't worth shit in DTC. So, like, do you think you can get him for? I don't think I can get him for a third though.
Let me see.
Thirds are worth like 1 or 2.
Yeah, 2.3 is a
Yeah. All right. So do you think I can get him for 2/3? That might be more realistic, actually. I think I do.
I don't think you'd be able to get that for him either. I think maybe somewhere. Maybe if you spammed all your leagues and
Wait, no.
but
Do you think? Wait, which way though?
I
What are
don't
you
think you'd
saying?
be able to get him. I don't think you'd be able to get him
Oh,
for
okay.
2/3. I think
You
that
wouldn't sell.
I think
You
that
wouldn't sell
people
him for 2/3 is what you're
I
saying.
wouldn't sell him for 2/3.
Would you sell him for a second?
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
It would have to be
take?
it would have to be a pretty locked in early second for me to even consider it. Just because that
Really?
I think he's a player in the immediate future could definitely see a jump,
Potential.
and I'm not willing to if I've held him this long, I'm not selling him for
So long shot league winner right here.
Yeah, but even not even just a league winner, right? Like if he puts together 2 weeks like he put it at the end of last season, right? Just 2 games, he's going to be worth a ton. Like he's going to
Well,
be worth a second plus.
I do think the perception is that
A ton. When I say a ton, I mean a ton more than he's worth right now. Not a ton
well,
like give up multiple firsts for him, but I'm just saying compared to what he is.
I think he could get to the point where he's worth a first. But you're saying you wouldn't even like that's what it would take to get it. Would you take?
No, I think an early second I would consider it depending
Would you
on
take
the
Brandon
league.
Cooks?
No, I would.
Mike Evans?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Now I think those guys are closer than most people think.
I don't.
They're
I
both
wouldn't. I would rather have Mike Evans, but
by a little. They're both very consistent players.
yeah, I'd rather have Mike Evans.
From year to year. Yeah, I hear you. I would too, but I don't think that's a slam dunk.
Yeah, I mean, there's no circumstance where I'm trading Brandon Cooks. I mean, Mike Evans for Brandon Cooks personally, but I mean, if somebody likes Brandon Cooks more, I'm not arguing with him about it.
No, I'm not doing it straight up.
But
I mean, Evans for Cooks in a second.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anyway. I think that's more than fair.
But so so you're saying you would take Cooks for Penny?
No, I would keep Penny.
Okay.
I would keep Penny.
Pittman is a slam dunk. That's not. Jahan Dotson.
I would take Jahan Dotson.
Okay. That's an early second. Kadarius Toney.
I would take. Oh, that's a tough one. He's actually my next player.
That is a tough one for you. That's why
he's my next player. I would take Kadarius Toney.
Okay.
I think most people would I don't know. I see.
Elijah
Kadarius Toney is one of those guys that he's so, I guess, just on both sides of the coin with what people think about him. So I would say probably 50-50 split on people that would take Toney or people that would take Penny, just because Penny's a running back and Walker's hurt. But anyways,
I feel like more people are down on Toney than are high on Toney. Like you and I are high on Toney.
I don't know, man. I don't know,
but
because
I think that the community is pretty down on.
I don't know,
because I don't think people.
Every time I go on Twitter, which is not very often, there's somebody raving about Toney's statistical output. One of these, big Twitter accounts and what have you, and it's just like almost every single time I go on Twitter, I'm seeing at least one.
But is that the community at large? Are those the players that you're in leagues with? You know what I mean? Like,
no, those are like the big fantasy football Twitter accounts and stuff like that.
I'm talking about what we do is I
don't know, man. I couldn't get I tried to give away, and this is gonna sound nuts to people. I tried to trade away Dameon Pierce for Toney in a league, and the person wouldn't take it.
Really? How long ago?
Maybe a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. This is when Dameon Pierce's stock was really going up.
Yeah, I mean, Mac hadn't been cut yet, but he was still real high. His stock was still really high.
Yep. So I mean, there's people out there. It's been tough. I've been trying to acquire him in a lot of different places. And earlier this offseason, I was able to get him really cheap. I can't give away a second for him right now. I've been trying.
All right. Well, let's transition right into your third then, and then I'll catch up with a couple guys.
Yeah, that's Kadarius. That's Kadarius Toney. So yeah, I mean, statistical output's actually been insane. Like up there with some of the best wide receivers in the last 5 years.
And
You
the
talk
film's
about
even better.
yeah,
The
yeah.
film, I'm telling you, the tape on Tony is even better than the numbers. That guy
He's
does things on the football field that are different, like visibly different than other football players than you've seen.
yeah. PFF posted something not too long ago. They said most yards per route run by rookie receivers in the past 5 years, with a minimum of 50 targets. And it's AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Juju, and then Kadarius Toney. Next is Kyle Pitts, Hunter Renfrow, Terry McLaurin, and then Cooper Kupp.
I'm sorry, I missed what you were saying. What are the parameters?
It's most yards per route run by a rookie receiver in the past 5 years.
Oh, interesting.
So I mean, in the small glimpse of Kadarius Toney that we got last season, statistically he was elite. I mean, on a
Yeah,
play by play basis, like if you break it down to a play by play basis, just on the amount of targets he was seeing as a percentage per route run, the efficiency he was having, I mean, it's elite. And then you watch him on tape, and he passes the eye test. Now, there's only one thing that can keep his value down for me, and that's the injuries, and that's a
yeah,
big thing because he is
yeah.
a very injury prone player. And even last year, before he got hurt, you might know how high I was on him compared to the rest of the community. And I was telling you guys, like, look, if there's one thing that's going to hinder this guy, it's the injuries, because not only is he an injury prone player, but he plays recklessly. And you can see that on the film as well. He meets contact head on, and I don't like it. There's multiple chances where
Right.
you see him able to get to the sideline, and he turns in and lowers his shoulder and hits a defender, and there's just no need for it. I know that's the kind of player he is, which maybe lends to the I guess how good he is, but man, it sucks because that's where a lot of the injuries are coming from, just those unnecessary hits.
Did you see the Zach Wilson injury in the preseason this year?
No, I didn't.
It was the same thing that you're talking about. And for him, it's even worse because he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a big white quarterback. But like he's going out of bounds and plants his foot and makes a cut to stay in bounds with a defender right in front of him and freaking sprains his MCL and gets whacked. It just reminds me of exactly what you're talking about. It's dumb, like aggressive, like not savvy football plays. Like it's real raw. To me, it just strikes me as real raw.
Yeah.
And if this guy makes it to his third, fourth, fifth season, then that shit's gonna go away. But he has to make it there first. Right? He has to stay healthy and be a thing first. You know what I mean? Like he can't just keep getting himself hurt or he's going to get cut eventually. You know what I mean? Players with all the ability in the world that play like that don't make it. So,
and the interesting thing about Tony also that I'll just throw out there is that beat writers have been talking about him as wide receiver one. In the eyes of the Giants. Not just in not in their opinion, but in the eyes of the Giants. And let me tell you, that is a big deal.
Good. That's good.
That is a big deal because Kenny Golladay is there. I know, people have their issues with or I shouldn't say issues, but they have their thoughts on Kenny Golladay and what he's done so far and his talent level and his ability to stay on the field and everything like that.
Foreshadowing. Go on.
But look at his contract, right? I mean, his contract is absolutely insane. And then you go over and you look at a guy like Sterling Shepard, who's the longest tenured Giant on the entire roster, right?
Yeah.
And he's the leader in the locker room. Yet Kadarius Toney in that organization is being talked about as the wide receiver one. So I think
he clearly has the most talent.
And it's not even close. It's not even close. And,
it's not even close in a lot of rooms, actually. Like if you're talking about pure talent between Tony and Cooper Kupp, Tony has a lot more talent than Cooper Kupp. It's just Cooper Kupp's a much better football player.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the talent versus skill argument. Yeah.
Yes, that's where Kadarius Toney needs to get to. He needs to get to, I'm a smart, savvy football player with this talent level. And
the
if
scary
that
thing
happens, he's absolutely, he's like, Tyreek Hill level player. And not same skill set. They're different. They're different.
Just
players,
the talent. I get what you're saying. The talent,
but just the talent level, yes, because he can do things that no one else in the NFL can do.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are going to be people that are listening to this and they're saying, "What the hell are you guys talking about? Tyreek Hill, Kadarius Toney."
Kadarius Toney is not as fast as Tyreek Hill.
Well, it's not even about that. Just go on YouTube and
watch
look at
187-yard game or whatever it was that he had.
Just pull up every single snap of Kadarius Toney. Just bring up every snap of Kadarius Toney. There's not many of them because he's injured all the time. So it's not a very long video, but bring up every single snap so you get a full picture of the player. He is absolutely unbelievably talented. I've watched every snap of Giants football, sometimes more than once, right? Because I rewatch Giants games because I'm an absolute idiot and I like to hurt myself. But he's a more talented football player today in present day than Saquon Barkley.
Wow.
He's a more talented football player today than Saquon Barkley. He's comparable to when Saquon Barkley came into the NFL, and I'm of the opinion that Saquon Barkley is not the same, does not possess the same level of talent that he did when he first entered the league due to the injuries.
You don't know.
I still think he's going to be a good player.
You don't have the basis to evaluate him in that
No,
way.
but just every snap that I've watched since
he was not healthy.
When he came back and he was last offseason when he came back and he was saying he was at 100%, he did not look like the same player.
He was lying.
I'm just saying you can only go off of what you see. He did not look like the same player. So until he comes on the field and shows, Kadarius Toney played injured the whole season and looked like an absolute beast the entire season. Different. There's not a snap out there that Kadarius Toney looked like a subpar talent.
Different injury, different recovery, different thing.
I'm just saying that Saquon Barkley, I've not seen the same level of talent at all. Not even close to what he was his rookie year. And
Agreed.
Every player I've seen after that rookie year, Kadarius Toney is a much more talented player.
Okay. I mean, that's a different statement. So we'll see where Barkley's at. I'm of the opinion that he's fine.
This is the same message. This is the same messaging we're hearing, and I'm not saying that Saquon's not going to be a really good player. Yeah, now that's convenient.
No,
right?
I do not think he was fully healthy going.
That's okay. They said he was fully healthy, right? And that's all we can go off of. But so you're just assuming he wasn't. He said he was. So
listen. I still think that no matter what people say about ACL injuries and that like guys come back quicker from them, they're still not 100%. And I'm still in the opinion that it takes a year and a half to 2 years for players to be fully healthy and confident on that leg to be able to cut the way that they used to, right? So we'll see. This is a real make or break for him, right? If he comes out and he doesn't look like that player, then I'm wrong and I'm gonna suffer.
And I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Saquon is not a talented player still. I'm saying that's how highly I think of Kadarius Toney's talent.
We'll see.
Just from a talent perspective.
It could be a Gurley situation, or it could be a Dalvin situation. We'll see.
Well, yeah, So like back to Toney though, like I think that highly of him. Where I think in the open field, he's going to be an absolute monster. I think if they're able to get him the ball, I mean, people are just going to see him week in and week out, assuming he stays healthy again, and his value is going to go up, not just based on the production, because I think he will have an opportunity to see a good amount of production, but also flashy players get flashy value, and that's just the way it goes. Yeah. So if he's able to be productive, he's a flashy player.
We shall see. That's all. Both of your last two picks are all based upon health.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so they've all have
very talented players that have not stayed healthy.
Yeah, they've all got extenuating circumstances, right? Because Mariota also has a player behind him that could take over at any minute. So it's just they're all risk, but it's just at the value that they're at currently. It's not a very high risk, you know.
My next player is less risky, but I do think that he has potential to jump up into elite territory, and that's Tua. All right. So, I've been yelling about Tua for a long time. More last offseason than this offseason because he was more of a value last offseason. But that's the reason I've always yelled about Tua is the value, right? It's not that I think that Tua is the next coming of John Elway, right? I don't think that. I think Tua is a hyper accurate, very decisive, quick trigger, quick release quarterback with a nice left-handed delivery that has a tendency to sort of confuse offenses, right? Or defenses. Left-handed offenses have a tendency to sort of confuse defenses unless they're familiar with it, right? And it's an advantage. Like I said, hyper accurate, not the strongest arm, but I don't think he has a weak arm. And I don't like when people make comparisons when they compare average players to elite players. I'm not a big fan of that. However, I do think in this situation, when you compare Tua's early career to Brady's early career, you see a lot of similarities, right? Like I said, very decisive. What? No, he's not that great. Very decisive, quick trigger, hyper accurate. Really. I see Tua as a really good quarterback and a perfect fit for the Shanahan system, which is now being brought in, right? It's schemed open, quick hitters, more shorter to intermediate throws, and then the deep throws are like opportunistic, and he can definitely make those. It's not like he's got a rag arm. He's not Gardner Minshew. I just see him with the additions to the offensive line, the new system, and adding a legitimate number one wide receiver with the most speed in the NFL. How can his numbers not go up unless he's a bag of shit? Right. So I just at 28.1, which puts him as like not really a top 12 quarterback. I see him popping into like 8 to 10 range next year with the numbers that he's going to put up. What say you, Chad?
Yeah. I like Tua. I do. I think that he is a little bit undervalued right now. The only thing that I will say, and I have bought a couple of shares of him this offseason, but there is part of me that thinks, man, like it is not the time to invest in Tua. Like if you've got him, good, keep him. But if this doesn't work for him, he's done. Like if this season doesn't work for him, there's no leeway there. He's gone because they've invested so heavily, and that's the plus, right? Is that you say, okay, he's got to be better. Bust. Yeah, right? Like he's got to be a better quarterback, right? But if he's not quite ready yet, and he doesn't play well, like that's the end of it. Like he's absolutely done because they've given him everything.
But he has played well under like very tight constraints.
And I don't
look at the numbers. He's been very, very accurate, and he has played well.
Yeah, but I don't just mean like he's got to play well, like he's got to be productive as a fantasy player. I mean, he's got to play well, like he's got to be successful.
Yeah.
Like they have to do things as a team. If they don't see him taking that team forward with what's around him, he's in trouble.
Yeah. But that's also because their owner is a dick.
Well, it doesn't matter, right? Like the context doesn't matter. Like it does because I feel as though he'll get a job elsewhere. Yeah, but if you're paying that 20 for him, right? Like there may be other quarterbacks in a similar situation where you say, okay, they can take a next step forward, but maybe there's not that risk of if they don't play exceedingly well this year, their value is gone.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, you make a good point. Your window for acquiring Tua has probably passed.
Yeah.
Right. If you have Tua, then you're looking for a bump in value. But and when I wrote his name down on this list, I had not put him into DTC. I just assumed he was going to be like 18 or 20. And he came up as 28.1 in the middle of talking about how much I like him. DTC was like, "Oh yeah, we like him too."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's the rough.
I mean, 28.1 is actually really good.
No, it's not a bad.
They're saying
I think it's fair. Like it's a fair cost for Tua. The only thing I'm saying
he's
is
worth a first and a second.
Yeah. The only thing I'm saying is if you have Tua, right, which I think is a fair value for Tua, I think because of what's around him, right? You're right. There is the situation created for him where he can thrive, right? But it's just the event that if he doesn't, that is a lot to lose out on, you know? Because the the if it goes the other way, it's just like we said, it's gone. All of it's gone. Like he's gonna drop to half that value. So whereas you got a guy like Rashad Penny or one of the guys that you brought up earlier, where if you missed the boat on them, right? Like Kadarius Toney gets injured this year, you've lost that on a second, right? If Rashad Penny gets hurt, you lost up on a 2/3 or whatever, what have you, right? Like it's not very much with a quarterback having that short of a leash. In my opinion, I'm sure there are people out there that would argue that they would give him another shot. I just don't see it.
So the reason I put Tua on this list is because I was trying to go away from my chalk, right? So like I'm trying to go away from some of the players I've talked about this offseason.
Yeah.
But it's not working for me.
No, I do like the player and I do like the circumstance. It's
I understand, but like, all right, so I get the next player and I'm just gonna go with my chalk. And I'm gonna go with like one of the two players that I think will gain value the most this season, and that's Russ. Right? Wow. It's obvious to me. It's so obvious to me. Like Russ going to Denver is like Zeke being drafted by Dallas with the top offensive line, right? It's just an obvious situation where he's going to thrive. He's going to become the 45, 46, 4,700 yard passer with 40 touchdowns every year. It's going to happen. I see it so clearly in my mind that if it doesn't happen, I'm going to have to question my entire process. What do you think about that? I mean, he's at a 36.4, so he's going to have to become elite, like truly like top 5. But
I disagree.
To me, it's no less than Stafford going to the Rams last year.
Yeah, but I disagree with you completely, and it's because of exactly what you just said. Right? You just said it's exactly like Stafford going to the Rams last year. It is exactly like Stafford going to the Rams last year. You're absolutely correct.
The 5th overall quarterback last year.
Correct. And what's his value today? 26.5.
Really? God, that is so disrespectful.
So if I'm all in the camp of buying Russ if you're in that position where, because I think Russ's value is a little bit of a discount to where he probably should be. But
that's what I'm saying. Like,
you're not buying him for a value rise because you're probably not going to get it. I think it's very, 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 very unlikely to happen that his value rises. Very, very unlikely. Like if there was one player so far that I would say he's probably close to being a certain lock that his value is not going to rise after this season, it's Russ. Like maybe you get an incremental rise in season.
Well, we're talking about the first 4 games, by the way.
Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe. But I mean, he's gonna have to play like better than Matthew Stafford last year, which is a lot to ask.
No, I don't think it's a lot to ask from Russ.
I mean,
I think it's exactly what I expect.
To hinge a value gain off of playing like Matthew Stafford played last year, that's a lot to ask, because that's not, whereas like some of the other players we're mentioning, they can play fairly well and see a value bump. Russ has to guarantee top 2, 3, 4 quarterback play week in and week out to see that value rise. You see what I'm saying?
I think the DTC is way off on their valuation, because again, I didn't look up their number, and that I think that they're insane to think that you can get 2 high 23 firsts for Russ. He's not. No one's paying you that right now. After the first 4 weeks of production, you can get that.
2 high 20.
So that's kind of what I'm saying. So for the purposes of like the game
Russ,
that we
they don't have Russ as 2 high 23 first.
36.4. Oh, you're right. So
early 23 firsts were 29.
A 23 and a 24. You can't.
So let's put it this way. They have him as a 2023 first and a mid 2023 second.
All right, I guess you can get that. I don't know.
Actually, yeah, they have the picks valued slightly higher. A 2023 first and a 2023 mid second is slightly higher than Russ.
All right, no. Fine. Chad.
No, but I'll just add the caveat. Let me just add the caveat really quickly that I do like Russ as a buy if you're going and competing, because I think, value for production, I think is a good buy, but I don't like him as a value to gain value.
Like if I have Trevor Lawrence on a team that otherwise I feel like can compete, I'd rather have Russ, right? Not that I think that I would trade Russ straight up for Trevor because of value, blah, blah, blah. But I'd rather have Russ points wise, right?
Well, so Trevor's value right now is actually less than Russ on DTC.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, yeah, that's crazy to me.
I mean, they're baking in the situation with Russ.
Yeah, they really are. All right.
I think the value is spot on, and I think that he's probably going to give you the production of the elite tier of quarterbacks. Right. I think that's probably likely.
All right, let's stay in the same place. Yeah, because a 36 is elite. Cortland Sutton is only a 16.8.
Yeah.
All right. So can we cross out Russ? And like Cortland Sutton could be a 30 by the end of the year. Why is Russ a 36 and his number one receiver a 16?
Yeah, I don't. A 30? I don't know.
That's extreme. That's extreme. I'm just throwing it out there. But
yeah,
like I think 25.
25, I think is possible.
It's real legit. Like when you consider Michael Pittman is like 22.
Yeah, I think 22 is about right. Just off the top of my head.
Michael Pittman 24.2.
24.
Michael Pittman's never had a season that Cortland Sutton's had.
Yeah, but that's that prediction for a jump,
Yeah. Well, I think Cortland Sutton has a much better quarterback and a much better offense, actually. Well, they're both good offenses, but much better quarterback.
Yeah. So to put him in the 30s, like that would be above guys like T. Higgins on par with AJ Brown and Debo. That's pretty high, I think. I think that's
a ceiling. That's definitely his ceiling. So 25 is more realistic.
I think 25 is probably more realistic. And I would say 25 for me is the ceiling. That would put him between Drake London and Jalen Waddle, which I think would be absolutely phenomenal if he got there.
Ridiculous that Drake London is worth that much.
Yeah. I mean, I know you don't like Drake London, so that
it's not that I don't like Drake London. I think Drake London has a chance to be a good player, but he's in a terrible, terrible situation. And
yeah, I mean,
he just has to be Superman to really like live up to that valuation this season.
I think he's that good, to be honest with you. But
I think he's
Yeah.
a prime candidate to drop actually in value.
Yeah. I mean, I think he could definitely see a drop, but if there's one player that, if I have him, I'm probably sticking with him just because I think he's supremely talented as far as the rookies go. For me, it's Drake London. I think he's pretty phenomenal. But
supremely talented, huh?
I think he's great. I mean, I watched what he did in college, and I think a lot of people forget because of the injury. I mean, he was absolutely incredible.
I thought he was good. I thought he was good. I didn't think he was Mike Evans good.
He was incredible. He was incredible.
I thought he was good.
But yeah, anyways, so Sutton, yeah, I mean, if I would say he could definitely see a value rise up in the 20s with early production in the first 4 weeks. I think that's definitely a certainty, like in that, Rashad Bateman, Terry McLaurin kind of range, that early, like, 20s, 20, 21, maybe even 22. I think that's a possible range for him if he sees the early production.
I see him higher than that. I see him really
in the first 4 weeks. You think?
I see him really popping off. A couple 100-yard games. And
I mean, he's gonna have to be like wide receiver, like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
like within the first 4 weeks to see that jump. I mean, you're talking about doubling his value in
no,
4
doubling
weeks.
his value.
You're talking about 30.
No, 25.
Okay, got you.
25.
Okay.
25. I definitely a couple like big games with Russ, people will see, anyway.
Yeah. I think part of it too, that a little bit of apprehension from me, opposed to what some of the narratives have said, I still really like Judy. I think he's a really talented player.
Oh, me too.
So
I'm with you. He's I think he's got a very good chance to be the number one instead of I called him Cutting. Cortland Sutton in that offense. I still think that's up in the air a little bit.
And that's the one reason for me where I'm like a little apprehensive with locking him in for a huge value gain, just because if Judy wasn't there, then I'd be like, yeah, I'm on board with you all the way. Let's go 25, 26, 27.
I see the talent in Sutton. I do see the Mike Evans talent in him, by the way. Like, out of all of the wide receivers in the NFL, Sutton kind of reminds me the most of Mike Evans.
Okay.
But talent and style wise. But man, Judy's a hell of a player. Tremendous route running. No, like there has not been, let's not forget, there's not been a wide receiver that runs routes like Jerry Jeudy that we've seen, actually.
Probably Ridley, but
coming out, maybe Ridley, but I mean, McShay compared him to Rice. He said Jerry Rice was the last person that ran routes like him. So, obviously there might be some hyperbole there, but I mean, Judy has number one wide receiver potential, in my opinion, because he's also got speed, and he had concentration drop issues, but Deontay Johnson showed that you can clean that up.
Yeah.
It's not, he doesn't have bad hands, and he never had bad hands at Alabama, So I think 3 is good for tonight, because we are at 1 hour and 3 at the moment.
Nice.
Right? So I think we rode this long and hard. What do you think?
No comment.
I think that's what she said.
Oh
my God. All right. So Chad's not on board with my ending. All right. All right. We're going to stay on brand, and we're going to create a new brand, and we're going to end this nice and concise. So follow us at DWZ __ War Games. If you'd like to talk to Chad on Twitter, he might respond. He's not on there much, but what's your Twitter handle, Chad?
At DWZ _ Chad. I have to look at it every single time.
Nice.
So you're
going to find us every Friday night here live. We may or may not change our live night However, we will always be on the Dynasty Warzone network on Monday nights. We're really happy to have an in-season spot in this lineup because there's some big hitters joining us on this network. We've got Kyle August doing redraft. We've got Memphis and Jerry doing, dynasty, basically how to build your dynasty team every week. And then we've got Tyler and his partner doing Devi. And then I believe Memphis is also going to do a gambling show as well. So we've got every day of the week covered on the Dynasty Warzone network. But really, the important thing is tune into us on Mondays. We're going to tell you if you're making a shitty trade or not. And just seriously, hit us up on DMs and Twitter and tell us who you want to hear about. We will cover those players. Trust me, we will dive down deep. Right? Anything else to add, Chad?
No. I think you covered it.
All right, right on. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.